Yeah, Jim Jordan was doing the same thing. But this is rapid reactions. And the interesting phrasing on this is fascinating to me, especially as somebody, if you believe in the America First concept at all, if you even pretend to believe in the America First concept, one of the things you don't do is side with Putin against your own president. And this Fred Flight's person allegedly does. But this is the title of this video of theirs. Biden wants to lecture Putin. You damn straight we do. And if you were on the side of America as a country, perhaps you would want him to do that.
Biden is making his final preparations in Brussels before tomorrow's summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Geneva, Switzerland. Joining us this morning for more on this is the former chief of staff at the National Security
and we do mean moron, I guess.
Council and CIA analyst Fred Flights. Fred, good morning. My goodness, we have a lot to talk about today, huh?
Yes, one of the things we talk about is never hang a picture on a door because it's terrible feng shui and it clacks anytime anybody goes in and out of the door. And I mean, and also never put your back to the door. Oy.
I think so. Man, Biden is having a great time at these meetings with the Europeans, sitting around raising global taxes, talking about global warming. And they're all so happy to have an American president who doesn't raise unpleasant questions like NATO carrying its own weight or fair trade practices. Isn't it, Trump is really there. He's living rent free in the minds of every single person at these meetings. He's always.
Well, he's just left. They're just glad he's left. I mean, sometimes if somebody farts in an elevator, you'll tell that story over the course of the afternoon, but you're not going, man, where is that fart? I wish it was here now. And that is something that I don't know that they understand, because it is such a relief to not have this dickhead around screwing the pooch at every turn, shoving people in photo ops and basically being a unilateral wannabe dictator. No, like the number of these, yeah.
Always there.
Isn't it great, Fred, to have an American president that cooperates again with NATO leaders and members of the G7?
And by the way, that is a mocking tone that the concept of our own treaties that we interact with in Europe and our own economic group, which, by the way, they're just pissed because Russia isn't in it. That's what who's living rent free in both these guys' brains right now? Vladimir Putin. They're still mad that Trump was unable to get him added to the G7 and turn into the G8 again.
Well, I mean, they want him there because he's a pliant American president. He's not going to do anything without the permission of the Europeans.
Like what? Like what? I mean, we just settled a trade dispute about aircraft engines so that we can sell stuff in Europe again. There's a 5-year hold on it. We declared a truce. We're gonna work it out, but and largely because a lot of their factories were shut down, they need our stuff now, and we're way ahead of them production wise because we got a handle on COVID. I mean, obviously there's red state issues with people getting vaccinated, and that's slowing production a little bit, but we're ahead of them. And Biden worked that out with the EU reps. That's done.
They did not like Trump because he was an assertive American president.
No, because he was a blithering idiot and had no idea about consequences. He has the impulse control of a toddler, and he was unaware that the rest of the world exists.
Didn't think that Europe should have a say over U.S. foreign policy or U.S. sovereignty. He did things, politically inconvenient things that they did not want to do. And
but that Putin wanted him to do. Because that was really about breaking up our alliances. And by the way, that's what Biden was saying, in the clip that I think it was Greg Kelly that flipped out on. That the most important thing, important, like the biggest threat, possibly dividing our alliances, was, of course, Russia. And this asshat is all for it.
The statements we heard out of NATO that were slightly critical of China, right, that was started by Trump. NATO never wanted to do that.
No,
Again,
NATO.
Yeah, they didn't do it. What do you mean that was started by Trump? I'm sorry, was it brought back by Biden? Did Biden did they strengthen the language over what Trump did while he was kissing China's ass to get his trade deal through and selling them beef and corn and soybeans while allegedly they attacked us with a bioweapon of sorts clearly a bioweapon that they, yeah, all right.
NATO wouldn't acknowledge China last year. Yeah, 1 year
NATO wouldn't acknowledge China last year. Suddenly,
ago, NATO didn't even use the word China. It was xenophobic to say China.
No, it wasn't. It was xenophobic to say Kung Flu. They talked about China a lot.
And Trump, he was unpredictable, and I think that worked to his advantage when it came to foreign policy.
No, it isn't. Because you want a predictable relationship with your allies. You want to be unpredictable with enemies. Like, who invites people over? Yeah, I got this great friend, man. He's so unpredictable. I don't know whether he's going to eat dinner with us or shit on my piano. It's just a weird thing. I mean, he's really a wild card. I can't wait to see what he does this time when he comes over. Maybe he'll fondle a kid and set fire to the cat. He's so unpredictable.
So, all right, tomorrow is going to be the first face-to-face between Putin and Biden with Biden as president. How strong a stance do you expect Biden to take? Do you expect him to lay out any consequences for non-compliance, cyber attacks, that sort of thing?
You know, I'm really worried about this. These summits are supposed to be pre-cooked events. Lower level people work it out. Then the top leaders get together. Then they have a joint press conference and talk about their achievements. Biden wants to go in there and lecture Putin so he can say he's tougher than Trump. Putin's not going to stand for that. He's going to lecture back. Biden will then.
So? It's about whether your lecture actually has any legs.
Then do a solo press conference because he's afraid to do one with Putin.
No, it's because Putin doesn't deserve one, and every time Trump would come out and do one with him, it was lapdog time.
Will do his own, and he'll be laughing at Biden. In fact,
good, then he can go laugh at him. Fuck him. His country's got a smaller economy than Italy. Why are you so scared of Vladimir Putin?
Putin's advisors are already mocking Biden's mental abilities.
Yeah, they have to because because Putin might have Parkinson's and he's on the fade and he's losing in the polls and he's got to have some weapon against Biden, and guys like you are carrying his balls.
I hate to talk about that, but this is a disaster in the making, and Biden asked for this meeting.
All right, so Fred.
Right. He asked for it, like a boss.
But I have a question scripted, but I'm going to ask you something different because you brought this up, and I think you make a good point. With a joint press conference, you stand there on the same stage, you field questions from the very same reporters.
You say stuff like, I don't know why Russia would do that to us. I can't think of a reason why they would do that. And, we have a great relationship. And I talk to him. I know our intelligence says something different, but I believe him. That's the kind of stuff you do that's what you're supposed to do, according to these assholes.
And a lot of communication is nonverbal. So the American people.
A lot of communication is nonverbal. Yes, that's true. This is you boring yourself to sleep. This is all nonverbal. I'm going with this. Holding a pen to make it look like you're doing some actual work, when really it's just there to cross off paper stories, unless so that if the teleprompter goes out, you know where you were and you don't have to shuffle. But most people write with a pen. You use it as a scratching device, and then this asshole is just waiting for his turn to talk while trying to look as smug as possible. And apparently he's having trouble keeping his chair steady, so he has to hold on to the sides. It's all nonverbal,
People of Russia and the world at large, they can evaluate these two leaders for themselves. But
yes, they can. And if we go on height, we win.
By doing it this way, Putin then has the forum where he can mock President Biden.
He has that same forum now. So, are you going to carry clips of him? Are you going to carry video of, is it cool when the Ayatollah does it? Which world leaders, Erdogan, who do you want to play video of? The leader of the Taliban, for example. Biden's never had a joint press conference with the leader of the Taliban, and I guess they could send out mocking videos. It's a shame. It's just, I don't even know.
Biden or American policy or positions or whatever happens in that closed-door meeting.
Yeah, they will lie anyways. So what?
And President Biden won't have the opportunity to respond.
Yeah, he will. We have an American press here. I mean, not you guys, obviously. You'll be carrying whatever Vladimir Putin says as gospel.
That's right. Biden's going to say all kinds of things in a rambling press conference about how tough he was. Putin, who is a much sharper, younger man, he's going to give a conference and he's going to make mincemeat of whatever Biden's.
Yeah, but do we believe him? The fucker has doctors pushed out of third-floor windows for telling the truth about COVID deaths in Russia. He sends people to assassinate people in parks in Berlin. He has Alexei Navalny and he's in jail and he's like, I can't promise he won't die in jail. And you assholes think that a word out of his mouth has any goddamn meaning? You think any Americans should or would give a rat's ass what Vladimir Putin thinks about anything? Besides you guys, obviously, who, since, Trump is on the fade, this is the next guy's, whose balls you need to gargle.
Biden said. Biden is setting himself up here. He should never have agreed to do this.
I'm curious.
Setting himself up for what? Do you think the United States isn't going to respond if Russia does shit? If he comes out and he says, I told them if they do any of this shit, we're gonna respond in kind, and then come home and go, don't respond. I need him because I'm going to try. I know I'm going to have to deal with Bernie's emails next election to keep myself from being primaried. Like, what kind of bullshit is this?
I'm curious, people forget Crimea happened while Joe Biden was vice president. It happened back in 2014. In fact, the Obama administration at that time was criticized by the left and the right for being too soft on Russia. Do you expect this to be a different Joe Biden walking
yes.
into the summit room tomorrow?
I think Biden,
because he wasn't the president. He was the vice president. And he has a different take on this. And he and Obama differed on how to handle some of these things. But he was the harder edged dude in the room.
Biden will have a long list of transgressions he's going to try to lecture Putin on. Putin's going to laugh at him and he's going to read his own list of transgressions against
him. And this asshole thinks, like Trump, that anything America has done is equal or worse than what Russia does on the regular right now.
United States. This is not the way you deal with a foreign leader.
Oh, yeah? How many foreign leaders have you actually dealt with? Former CIA analyst? By the way, were you an analyst for the CIA or you just formerly analyzed the CIA? Is this all anal? I don't know.
If there's differences between the countries, they need to be negotiated at lower levels. The two leaders meet together on how they're going to cooperate. This is all about...
Yeah, if they're going to cooperate. Part of the problem might be in this circumstance that there won't be cooperation on a lot of stuff. And really what this is about is red lines. But please keep telling us how we should be more supportive of Putin's opinions of things and more fearful of what he does than what the American president is capable of. Honest to God, these are the patriots, folks. These are the people who are selling themselves as the real patriots. Listen to this fuckhead.
About Biden showing he's tougher than Trump, it's not going to serve American national interests.
Quickly on the exchange of cyber criminals, what do you think that's really about? Why does Putin want this so badly?
Because he wants his programmers back?
Well, let's think about this. Putin said, look,
yeah,
we'll
think about it.
Cyber criminals, if you'll exchange yours, send them back to Russia.
He said that during the Trump press conference, and it was it caught Trump off guard. They didn't discuss it. He dropped that bomb during the last press conference.
It implies Putin knows who Russia's cyber criminals are, which I think he probably does. But the so-called criminals in the U.S. are probably dissidents. And then Biden agreed to this without talking to his staff. They had to walk it back. So I don't know what Putin was really trying to do here, other than maybe setting a trap to see whether Biden would agree to this.
Yeah, and he did. And then Jake Sullivan had to walk that back. Fred Flights, we have a lot to get into and a lot to discuss over the next 24 to 36 hours. Appreciate you coming on with us.
It's fascinating.
Now 3 days in a row, but again, this is a historic trip, and there's a lot to get into, so we appreciate it. That's Fred Flights joining us. Fred, we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, make sure the next time you come on, tell us how tough Erdogan is and how he would make mincemeat of the American president, and that if he'd met, if Reagan had a chance to box him, that would have been a real fight.
Thanks.
All right, stay with us. A lot more Wake Up America coming up after the break.
Well, not a lot more. I mean,